right, so we have, of course, some heavy stuff to get to. We're still waiting on the judge to reach the final verdict in the sexual assault trial of the World Junior Hockey players, and we're gonna have that later on in the show. Yes, I know we're gonna have to address that, but first, it's time to rethink how we say goodbye to our loved ones, because according to The Guardian, direct cremations are increasingly popular. That's where no mourners are present and relatives and friends organize their own ceremonies. By opting out of the fuss in traditional funerals, are we disrespecting our loved ones, or is it the positive thing? You guys like it, all right? So Riley, I'm gonna throw that hot potato to you, my friend.
Listen, I'm with the crowd. I think that everybody is also rethinking ceremonies in our life just generally differently. Like you're seeing a bunch of weddings that are different. And I think that there are people who are seeing, okay, it's supposed to be one of these big milestone moments of my life. I want it to reflect me. I want it to reflect the people. Never mind tradition. And I'm all for that, I think. Like that's something that can be really lovely. My sister, actually, she just went to a funeral half recently for a friend's grandmother. She insisted, this woman, that I had an open bar.
Wow. An open bar. Okay.
Open bar.
Okay.
That there was karaoke and everybody had to sing at her karaoke if they were going to be there.
I love this.
I kind of do love that.
And she said it was like the most celebratory thing. And of course, like they sang some sad songs and they remembered her, and it was still like there was elements of grief and mourning, but that it was just like this beautiful reflection of what was an amazing woman, you know? And I'm like, that sounds great.
Isn't that a beautiful reflection just of a life, or of all our lives too? Like
I think so.
The super emotional with the super joyful. That's really touching.
I mean, I love that, and it sounds like that's exactly what that person wanted. But what if the thing that the person wants is like not uplifting? Like for me, I'll just be honest, like my mother is a very heavy into the Catholic Church, and I was raised in the Catholic Church. She really loves that experience and has had a lot of great experiences. I did not have as many great experiences, neither did my sister. And then there's been this ongoing reckoning. I don't feel a lot of comfort in Catholicism. I feel I'm very spiritual and I have a lot of spiritual associations, but that doesn't bring me a lot of comfort. I know my mom, when she passes, will want to have like a mass, a full mass and everything like that. And that we'll do that, right? But if I'm being honest, like we're the ones who are left behind. And I can't help but think, like, do we get some say in what would bring us joy? Because my mother is so many different things. She's funny, she loves nature, she's got like so much personality. And I'm trying to figure out a way that we'll be able to weave in that aspect. Because for me, the ones that are left behind also have to wrestle with their grief and their ways of processing.
Some people say funerals are for the living.
That's exactly it. I mean, you've just been through this.
Yeah, to a certain degree. My dad passed away, and he did not want a funeral. Yay!
Did you just yay?
But I guess this story is in a way like, do you have to pay respect the person's wishes? So I am respecting his wishes by not having that funeral, and I'm in a way very grateful because he passed away in the ICU, and about 30 minutes after, there was a grief counselor who came in to talk with the family and said, hey, I hate to bring this up in this moment, but when you start making your arrangements, because even though you don't have a funeral, there's still a body you gotta, deal with. And there's practical things. And she said to us, be careful. This is a racket. The business of dying can be a racket. Make sure you call around, make sure you get quotes and so on. And thank God, Simon. Oh, Simon, I love you. None of us were able to do that. He was able to make all of those quotes. He called and got for a simple cremation with, you need a lot of death certificates when you pass away, or the people living need a lot of, people are nodding, right? Everyone needs one of those death certificates. And so he called around and he got quotes for a simple cremation plus death certificates from $3,000 to $6,500.
Wow.
That range. And he ended up going with the first person he called, not just because it was the $3,000 one, but also because the guy on the phone said to him, hey, do me a favor, make sure you call around because this can be a racket.
I know.
Said it to us and we're like, that's so honest.
But do you feel like you've like sort of, I know you were saying you are planning a celebration of life.
Yes, we're planning a celebration of life because Simon and I got my dad to admit about a year ago in my living room, he was like, he's, make sure, Jess, there's no funeral, you'll respect that, right? I was like, absolutely, he was an atheist. And then I said, but Dad, wouldn't you want wouldn't you want the people who loved
Love
you?
you.
He was a teacher who like influenced the lives of so many people and his family, and wouldn't you want them to raise a glass? He liked the brown liquor. Wouldn't you love that?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, okay, I like the sounds of that. So
Okay.
we're doing that. We're doing
So
that.
you want- Okay. Well, that looks. Listen, you know, it's so challenging, and if you haven't gone through this, it's a lot to take in. But I'll say this much: before my father passed away, he passed away last September. I had two friends who also died. One had a very traditional funeral, and the other one had a very non-traditional funeral. The non-traditional one was the first one that I went to of the two. And maybe because I was raised in a church, I went to Anglican service, and I also went to a Catholic service. I know and feel comfort in that ritual, and it was very bizarre for me to be in that space, to be mourning the loss of my friend. There was no casket. There was a very small picture of this person. And then we were also in a space that I had partied in before.
Yeah.
Which also felt very strange. And then we were sitting on the floor. Everybody was everywhere. And it was kind of like an open mic where people just kind of going up and meandering and just chit-chatting about how they felt. And I was like, I left feeling I didn't get the closure that I needed. And then I went to, you know, sadly my friend died a few months later, and I went to a very traditional funeral, and it was very long, but it was beautiful. And at the end of it, I had that feeling of like, it's very sad, but we all get to say our proper goodbyes. So I knew that when my dad died, because he went to church all the time, and I know the church that he went to, I knew that what his wishes were more important than anything else.
Yeah.
And I took control of the funeral because I'm the eldest, and that's what I do, because everybody does what I say. And I felt at the very end of it, it went on till like 8 p.m. It started at 12 o'clock, went till 8 p.m. And what the greatest part was, I remember there was a part during the funeral when people were singing the hymns and there was a great feeling, and I was like, my dad would love this. My dad would be so happy. And that feeling, I'm telling you, I know some people want to do what they want to do, but what you want on that day is to be honoring what they want. And at the end of the day, when they were leaving, some of my dad's friends who he'd known since he was 3 were like, thank you so much for this.
Yeah.
This was the best day. Like, everybody left with smiles. So just keep that in mind when you're planning those things. It is about you, because you feel, but you have to remember it's not just your mom or your dad or whoever that family member is.
Community.
There's a community that's connected who all want to say goodbye. So you want to do something that kind of makes everybody feel like they're getting that final home going or homecoming, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
So
Nicely said.
it's a challenging one. But yeah.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.